Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my dear friends. Here is Geraldo Lemos Neto, and I'm here with Marco Gandra from Portal Saber Espiritismo in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Tonight, we are doing the program to Know Spiritism number 110. And this is the second program where we will study this subject, the life in the spiritual realm, second study. Thanks for watching at Kardec Radio, at Spiritism Dissemination, and Discover Spiritism Network. Let's see, continuing our studies, what Allan Kardec himself told us in the Spirit's book, the first book of the Spiritist revelation. Experience tells us that the spirits of the same category, of the same character, and animated by the same sentiments, gather together in groups and families after death. So this is very clear for us, and this is what differentiates us here on earth, where we have people from all kinds of backgrounds, spiritual backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, beliefs, even different philosophies and ways of living, and what we will encounter in the after-death life. Here we are all mixed up in a manner and in a way that we can learn one from another, from different perspectives. But in the spiritual world, the spirits gather together by the laws of syntony, of the ones that animated by the same sentiments, the spirits of the same category, the ones with the same character, and they gather together in the spiritual life, in cities and colonies, in groups and families that feel and think the very same way. Now we can see Allan Kardec studying in the Spiritist Review in France, the Revue Spirit, from August 1858, when Allan Kardec received the drawings by the spirit of Bernard de Palissy from the medium, his friend, and also theater writer, Victorien Sardou. And Victorien Sardou received lots of drawings about the life in Jupiter. And Allan Kardec, analyzing with the spirit of Bernard de Palissy and also with the medium Victorien Sardou, note this teaching. For certain individuals convinced about the existence of the spirits, and here I do not talk about others, it must be astounding that we spirits have our own homes and cities. They did not refrain from criticizing me. So even at his time, even at the time of the Spiritist revelation, with Allan Kardec still incarnated in France. And even in the time that the spirits were making writings and drawings and phenomena around the spiritual world, many of the followers of that idea that there was, in fact, a spiritual life, a spiritual realm where we could find homes and cities, even for those believers, they received a lot of critics, a lot of criticizing people that did not understand that at that time, did not understood it. And so they did not refrain from criticizing Allan Kardec and his fellow friends, mediums, and spirits. They could not understand in details life after death. But in the 20th century, Allan Kardec returned himself as the medium Francisco Cândido Xavier, our dear Chico Xavier, in Brazil. And in the 40s of the 20th century, he received the spirit of André Luiz, that we all know by the teachings of Chico himself, that it was the Dr. Carlos Chagas. And in his book, In the Greater World, in Portuguese, No Mundo Maior, chapter 4, Studying the Brain, André Luiz wrote, "The wisest spirit would not affirm dogmatically the point in which matter ends and spirit begins." And this is a very important lesson for all of us, because he is talking about that at his plane of living in Nosso Lar, which is way more developed than here on earth, here on the earth crust. Chico Xavier himself told me that in Nosso Lar, our home, the spiritual city that is equivalent to the city of Rio de Janeiro, and that is around the altitude of 50 kilometers above the city of Rio de Janeiro in the Earth's atmosphere. And Chico told me that the science, the advancement of science in the city of Nosso Lar, in the city of our home, where André Luiz already lived in the 40s, is around 100 years or 1 century ahead of the science and knowledge that we have here in the earth crust. So even that, taking in consideration, André Luiz is teaching us that there in Nosso Lar, even the wisest spirits would not say or affirm dogmatically the point in which matter ends and the spirit begins. So this is a way ahead of our knowledge. And analyzing this very important book from Chico Xavier's mother, Maria de São João de Deus, The book in Portuguese is called Cartas de uma Morta, and in English it is Letters from a Dead Woman. Chico Xavier's mother wrote to him and taught him what she received from her mentors and guides around spiritual life. And we can read there, life does not only pulsate in the distant world where you've forsaken your ultimate fantasy. Everywhere life swarms triumphant, and the vehicle of its manifestations is that it diversifies in the multiplicity of their planes. The worlds are the continuity of other worlds, and the heavens succeed uninterruptedly through the boundless spaces. And here we can understand how narrow is human understanding about spiritual life, about the spiritual realm, about life in other worlds, life in other planes of existence. And Chico Xavier's mother's mentors are saying to her that even for her, that was already discarnate, she would not understand how vastly life swarms triumphant everywhere in the universe, even in boundless space. And there are heavens that succeed each other continuously, uninterruptedly, as well as worlds in the vast planes of existence in the universe that we know, but also referring that there are lots of plans that we don't even have a clue of. And life is everywhere. And he continues to teach her. Our life here is an extension of human life. There is no emptiness in the universe. All interplanetary zones are full of life in multiform manifestations. And here is almost, we can say, an anticipation of science of the 20th century or of the late 20th century and early 21st century, because he is clearly affirming that there is no emptiness in the universe, and that we already know in the 21st century. We already know that what we call space or the vacuum in space has a lot of energy. And as we all know by Einstein's theory, energy and matter are the same thing in different ways of manifestations. So that if life needs matter, needs energy to be manifested, of course, where we find energy and where we find matter, we will find also life. That's why he says that all interplanetary zones are full of life in multiform manifestations. Why is he saying multiform? Because he is teaching us that manifestation of life in energy forms and in matter forms in bodies are of a multiplicity way that we could imagine. And Allan Kardec, 100 years before, had already taught us that everywhere in the universe there is life, but their manifestations, their bodies, is related to the state of the matter and the energy related to each planet, to each moon, to each solar system or interplanetary star systems and nebula and galaxies and all of that, the matter and the energy that surrounds us in the known universe, and also in the ones that we don't know yet. All of that is called by Allan Kardec the cosmic fluid. So, regarding life, immediately after death here on earth, we can understand that in the first spiritual plan that surrounds Earth crust, the life there is pretty much alike life here on Earth. Of course, a little higher in sensations and in knowledge, but it does not differ much of our way of living. Let's see now what the spirit of Neo Lúcio, through the hands of Chico Xavier, told us about this immediate plan after life, after death, where we all are going to go when we leave our body here on earth and enters the spiritual life. The book in Portuguese is called Sementeira de Luz, and in English, The Sowing of Light. And Neo Lúcio, that was in his past life Professor Arthur Joviano, wrote, "The beyond is not a privileged region of those who say beautiful prayers, but the zone in which life moves on with its care and blessings, concerns and joys, struggles and truces, laughter and hope, where the soul, insatiable worker of God, continues working and loving, enriching itself and assisting the neighbor." So this pretty much illustrates what the mentor of Chico Xavier's mother told her about the immediate life beyond earth. It's a continuation. It's not a higher plan. It's not the heavens. It's not the privileged region of those who say beautiful prayers, but it is the beyond zone in which life moves on with its care, blessings, with our concerns, we carry our joys and also our struggles. We experience also many times and many ways of truths. We also can laugh, encounter our loved ones. We can cultivate hope to reach a higher plan, because the immediate plan of life is where our soul, that is the insatiable worker of God, in the saying of Neo, can continue to work, can continue to love, can continue to understand life and study about our surroundings, and also can continue to do good things towards our neighbors, friends, brothers and sisters. I hope you enjoyed our conversation tonight, and let's meditate about those important lessons that the spirits taught us since the time of Allan Kardec and in the 19th century, and also since the time of Chico Xavier works in Brazil in the 20th century. I hope to see you soon next week with the program to Know Spiritism 111. Wish you a very good night. Bye-bye.